This show is sponsored by BetterHelp Online Therapy. Visit betterhelp.com/super because honestly, being a human can be exhausting. Hey, brother! Guys, we have talked before about the Pokemon Company's least favorite Pokemon, Paras and Parasect.
Aw, hey buddy, how are you?
And since then, I think we've made our voice heard. I mean, Parasect was included on the full art reprint of the Pikachu base set card for celebrations. The Paras and Parasect plush pages are overflowing with positive comments. I mean, how could they not be? Heck, Parasect is even sold out. The official Pokemon Twitter even tweeted about how unstoppable Paras is. Not only that, we even caught the attention of M&J TV, who agreed with us that Paras is indeed the most neglected Pokemon. To which I say, hell yeah. But here's the thing, you guys. Paras's abuse at the hands of the Pokemon Company over the years has come almost solely in the form of neglect. And that's largely what we were looking for last time, Pokemon's most forgotten Pokemon. However, there is another Pokemon. The Pokemon Company seems absolutely determined to ignore and snub every single step of the way. Today, we tell the sad story of Raichu. Guys, before we dive on in, we need to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Mint Mobile. Okay, I'll be 100 with you guys. When I first heard about Mint Mobile and their $15 a month plan, I had flashbacks to like little flip phones you could buy at a convenience store with 250 text messages built in. But Mint Mobile is totally not that. They offer premium wireless service for just $15 a month. And as I put the plan to use, I keep waiting for there to be a catch, like hidden fees or dropped calls or something, but it's never showed up. There is no catch, but there is a secret sauce. Mint took a different approach to the wireless biz by cutting out the brick and mortar retail stores entirely, which means there's a lot less overhead for them to provide you the service, and they just pass all of those savings right on to you. And there are savings. Again, it's just $15 a month. Before this, I was paying $60 a line. It is a quarter the cost and the service is just as great. Plus, you can use your existing phone with any Mint Mobile plan and transfer over all of your contacts, no problem. All plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered via the nation's largest 5G network. To get your new wireless plan, again for just $15 a month, and to have the plan delivered to your doorstep, head to mintmobile.com/super. Again, that is mintmobile.com/super. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/super. Link is in the description down below. Check it out, you guys. I also got a Parasect pin because I realized this shirt was kind of boring. Now, it's excellent. Ooh, it shines. Poor Raichu. As I'm sure you're aware, Raichu is the evolved form of Pikachu, the Pokemon Company's absolute favorite Pokemon. I mean, Pikachu is the mascot of the entire franchise and possibly the most recognized character on Earth, which hey, great for the Pokemon Company, great for Pikachu, but there has been one undeniable victim in all of this, and that is Raichu. Let's start at the beginning. Pokemon Red and Blue. Right out of the gate, things weren't really that bad for Raichu. It was honestly exactly what you'd expect it to be. Raichu evolved from Pikachu via the Thunderstone, and he got significantly stronger, moving his base stat total from 290 to 345. Raichu was also Lieutenant Surge's ace Pokemon, which is a nice little honor, minus the fact that the Electric Gym was next to Diglett's Cave, where you can catch a strong ground-type Pokemon, which electric Pokemon can't do any damage to, so Raichu never had a chance to shine. But hey, so far, no real favoritism was being shown to Pikachu, other than maybe that if you evolve your Pikachu early, it'll stop learning moves. Meaning that if you wanted your Raichu to naturally learn its strongest move, Thunder, you'd have had to wait until Pikachu was level 41 before using the Thunderstone on it. But really, that's not too big a deal. But then the yellow version came out, and this is where things started to immediately go downhill for Raichu. Because as I'm sure you're aware, in Pokemon Yellow, you have to start with Pikachu. You can't choose anything else, and you cannot evolve that starter. You are forced to play with Pikachu throughout the entire game, which no big deal, right? Just catch a different Pikachu and evolve that one, right? Which, yeah, would be a good idea, except that starter Pikachu is the only Pikachu available in the game, which means that in a game based around Pikachu, Raichu is not available at all without trading. Ouch. And things only get worse from there. Next up are Gold and Silver, where baby Pokemon were introduced, including Pichu. And I will say, Pichu is not exactly a great battler or anything like that, but it was a fun new mechanic to try and breed for the new babies because that was the only way to get them. And why ever focus on the stronger Raichu when you could instead breed for a cute little baby? Because of the reason you just said, because it's stronger, of course. Duh. Ah, yes, that is true. To an extent, because do you remember this guy, the Pikachu from Pokemon Yellow? Well, if you transferred that Pikachu up to your Gold and Silver game from Pokemon Yellow, it would come holding a special item called the Light Ball. And here's where things start to feel really intentional, because the Light Ball is a held item that has one effect. Its effect only activates if it's being held specifically by a Pikachu. And what it does is double the attack and special attack of that Pikachu, catapulting that Pikachu's attack higher than Raichu's. Ouch! But don't worry, it gets worse, because then Pichu, not Raichu, but Pichu gets chosen to have a slot on the Super Smash Brothers roster with one very unique game mechanic. That being that all of Pichu's electric attacks damage himself and have less range than Pikachu's. But the trade-off is that those attacks are stronger than Pikachu's. Who made that call? Like, yeah, we need a stronger version of Pikachu. Ooh, I've got it. How about the baby? Moving back to the main games though, Pichu also represents the first offense in a now long tradition of leaving Raichu out. I speak, of course, of the Pikachu Clones. In case you're unaware, each generation of Pokemon, and there are now 8, has introduced a new Pikachu clone. A small rodent electric type Pokemon with pouches on its cheeks meant to pay tribute to the original Pikachu. Pichu was of course the first in Gen 2, but since then, they've also added Plusle and Minun in Gen 3, Pachirisu in Gen 4, Emolga in Gen 5, Dedenne in Gen 6, Togedemaru in Gen 7, and Morpeko in Gen 8. And honestly, this is a fun tradition, but here's the thing. None of them evolve at all. Well, except Pichu, which of course just evolves into Pikachu. But none of the rest of them evolve. They're all just living, breathing annual reminders to Raichu that the Pokemon Company simply wishes Pikachu didn't evolve either. Because here's the thing, they could have had each one also evolve into a Raichu clone. Raichu could be basking in all of this glory as well, but is instead left out again. But Jay, what about Alolan Raichu? Well, don't worry, we'll get there. But first, we have to talk about Cosplay Pikachu. Cosplay Pikachu is a gift Pikachu you can receive in Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. And depending on how you dress it up, it can learn signature moves that regular Pikachu can't. You can choose from Rockstar Pikachu, Bell Pikachu, Popstar Pikachu, PhD Pikachu, or Pikachu Libre. And yeah, you guessed it, they're not allowed to evolve, because who would ever want to dress up a Raichu? Am I right? Actually, you know what? This feels like a good time to bring up the Pokken Tournament roster. Pokken Tournament, in case you're unaware, is one of the few games that the Pokemon Company holds a world championship for, and it's basically just a Pokemon fighting game. And of course, as you'd expect, it features Pikachu, but not Raichu, which honestly would be okay, except the game actually features 2 Pikachus, Pikachu and Pikachu Libre. Which brings us finally to the lone bit of attention Raichu has ever truly gotten from the Pokemon Company. Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu is a unique Gen 7 form of Raichu, and honestly, it's really cool. It's electric and psychic type, which is a completely unique typing to any other Pokemon in the game, and it's surfing on its tail. How cool is that? Alola is based on Hawaii, so it actually fits its region really well, and it's pretty usable. I really like this Pokemon. But of course, Pokemon could not resist the opportunity to lift Raichu up only to show Pikachu even more favoritism. First of all, remember all those Pika clones from earlier? Well, the Gen 7 one is Togedemaru, and he's the featured partner Pokemon of Sophocles, who's one of the main characters in the anime, so Togedemaru got tons of screen time. But arguably, there are 2 Pika clones in Gen 7, the other being the ghost-type Pokemon Mimikyu, who dresses up like Pikachu. Mimikyu is a huge crowd favorite and was used by Jessie on the anime, so it too got tons of screen time. On the other hand though, Alolan Raichu gets but a single episode dedicated to it, where it's competing in a pancake race, where it's the, featured Pokemon of the episode, and yet it still loses the race to a, wait for it, sleeping koala. Yep, but enough about the anime. Back to the games. The other cool thing introduced in Gen 7 was the Z moves. These were powerful moves that you could only use one of in each battle, and certain Pokemon got signature Z moves that only that species of Pokemon could use. And I honestly almost couldn't believe it when I looked it up, but Alolan Raichu was among one of the Pokemon who got a signature Z move. What? It's called Stoked Star Surfer, and in order to use it, you just need to have Thunderbolt on your Alolan Raichu, and then when you use it, it boosts that Thunderbolt's power from 90 to 175 and use Stoked Star Surfer instead, and it's really cool. Except that if you equip any Pokemon at all with Electrium Z, which makes them capable of using Electric-type Z moves, and then if you use Thunderbolt with them, it won't do Stoked Star Surfer, it'll do Gigavolt Havoc. That's like the basic Electric-type Z move that any Pokemon can use. And if you use Thunderbolt, it improves the power from 90 to 175. Yeah, so even though they called it something different and gave Raichu a special little animation, it is the exact same thing as a regular Electric Z move. And it gets worse, because guess which other Pokemon has a signature Z move? Not Paris.
I'm gonna put you back over here, okay, bud?
Pikachu, of course. Pikachu got a signature Z move. And again, you just have to have Thunderbolt on your Pikachu, and when you use it as a Z move, it'll, instead of using Gigavolt Havoc, use 10 million volt Thunderbolt. But this time, it raises the power of Thunderbolt from 90 to 195. Ah, are you kidding me? It's like you lifted Raichu up just so you could knock it down. But wait, there's more. Did I say Pikachu had a signature Z move? Because actually, Pikachu has 2 signature Z moves. The other one is called Catastrophica. You have to use Volt Tackle instead of Thunderbolt, and the resulting power is now 210. So yeah, you could use your Alolan Raichu with its signature Z move, but why would you? Why would you evolve it when you could keep it as a Pikachu and have access to 2 different, more powerful signature Z moves? And that brings us to the current generation, where the fancy new game mechanic of the day is Dynamaxing. Any Pokemon at all is capable of Dynamaxing, and when they do, they become a giant supersized version of themselves. They get a massive HP boost, and all of their moves get converted into max moves. But a select group of Pokemon are capable of what's called Gigantamaxing, and it's effectively the exact same thing as Dynamaxing, except when you Gigantamax, you get an awesome looking new form and access to a signature G-Max move. And as ever, guess who got a Gigantamax form? Pikachu. And guess who got left out? Raichu. Of the 33 available Gigantamax form Pokemon, all of them use the final evolved form of the Pokemon in question, except 3. Those 3 are Pikachu, Meowth, and Eevee. And honestly, for Eevee, I totally get that. I mean, Eevee's whole thing is that it evolves into different things. Of course, when you Gigantamax it, it has a new form. Like, that makes sense. Meowth, on the other hand, is clearly getting the exact same treatment as Pikachu because it's the Team Rocket mascot in the anime, but at the very least, it is also a very funny reference to this Long Cat meme from 2005, 2006. Gigantamax Pikachu, though, is only a reference to itself. Its older, obviously superior, chubby self. I mean, seriously, look at this little chubby chooster. This is the superior form of Pikachu, am I right? But more than anything, Gigantamax Pikachu is really a reference to Pokemon's oldest tradition at this point: hanging Raichu out to dry. Because, like, I mean, if Pikachu has the ability to Gigantamax, why doesn't Raichu? Then, as if to throw salt in the wounds, the trading card game introduced 2 new Gigantamax forms for Pikachu: flying and surfing. Which really should be no surprise though, as the TCG frequently leaves Raichu out. You'd think that anytime they printed a Pikachu, there would also print a Raichu to go with it that it could evolve into. But you would be very wrong about that. Right now, there are 188 different Pikachu Pokemon trading cards you could collect. Raichu, on the other hand, 49. That's less than a third, but that's just the TCG. If you go over to the anime, the ratio is way worse. According to Bulbapedia, Raichu has had just 15 major appearances in episodes in the 20 some odd seasons that they've had so far. Pikachu, on the other hand, and you probably don't need me to tell you this, has an impressive 100% appearance rate. That said though, I will say if you watch the first season of Pokemon, you would have seen Raichu in every single episode during the theme song. As usual, taking it on the literal chin from Pikachu. Don't worry, Raichu, I see you, and I believe in you. But there you go, guys. Pokemon's other least favorite Pokemon, Raichu. Are there any other super overlooked Pokemon out there that we need to defend? Let me know all about them in the towel section down below. Also, in case you didn't know, we actually have a gaming channel, Super Carlin Gaming, where we just wrapped up another season of the Nuzlocke, which if you don't know is like a hardcore way to play through Pokemon, where if your Pokemon faint, they're considered dead. It is super sad, but also a lot of fun. If you want to check it out, we have many seasons of that you can go watch right now. But otherwise, guys, thanks so much for watching this video. As always, don't forget to leave a like on it if you haven't already, or subscribe so you don't miss any future Pokemon content from us. If you want to see why Paris is indeed the Pokemon Company's least favorite, most forgotten Pokemon, you can check out this video right here. But otherwise, until next time, I will see you in another life, brother.